Alrighty, well here we go into the fourth game of the day. GCAT and Mori-Chan rolling out onto Prokhorovka, and doesn't look like anything too untoward here. IS-7s for the majority. We've got a couple of CS-63s though on the GCAT behalf, which is maybe a little bit sort of off standard. I guess you'd normally expect to maybe just see the one rather than the two.
Yeah, it seems an interesting decision, potentially sacrificing some much-needed HP that I mean, a heavier tank would have brought to the battlefield. But as we get into it, obviously GCAT on the defense playing that northern side, it seems like a fairly even spread from MMMC on that south side.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that we do have to sort of bear in mind as well is that the last time these teams played, it was a 3-1 in the favor of GCAT. So Mori-Chan will have to step up on their last performance if they want to take this one the distance, or potentially even get themselves a dub. Want to start that on Prokhorovka, of course.
Standard, lines in the sand being drawn at the moment.
Very much
stand
so.
off the two IS-7s in mid.
It's not as if either team has necessarily had the run of things in terms of the map control. It's very much, okay, this is fairly standard defensive sort of setup, fairly standard attacking side setup. No one's getting away with anything necessarily just yet. As you said, very spread across the map, although GCAT having a little bit more presence toward that 2 flag, that in itself will probably be something that you'd expect to see. It's a little bit easier to go back over to the 1 flag rather than come over to the 2 flag if necessary. So good to have a couple of extra tanks set up on that side of the map.
Definitely feeling like it is going to be a slower map, slower round, especially given just how many lines of sight can be contested at any one point. So both teams just going to be looking for that opening, that one shot that could make or break the setup, and from there I imagine the collapse would happen.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Rico on the way up to the 0-line hill will start to get a bit of info as he progresses his way forward. Masunatsu been spotted, but in a fairly safe position there. Hull down with the IS-7, shouldn't really be bleeding any HP. Is just trying to act as a spotter for Mori-Chan. But even then, doesn't really look like they're going to try to put too much of a presence on this side of the train tracks, actually, and they're moving their forces down through the southern side of the map, back over to the west.
One concern, though, with the setup from MMMC is, I mean, at some point they're going to have to pull that trigger. They're going to have to make the aggressive move as the attacking team, because if they stall out for too long, I mean, it really is just going to have to come down to a brawl. They're going to have to force the issue rather than playing for the flag.
No, definitely. I mean, this is starting to get me a little bit interested, though, that IS-7 of Masunatsu has been basically left high and dry on the 0 line. Is going to try to isolate and maybe even keep a couple of tanks over there. And what's happening elsewhere is that there's been a bit of an exchange of fire. IS-7, CS-63 copping a shot apiece. Not really much to talk about there, but yeah, I just wonder how many tanks GCAT are going to dedicate to kind of keeping Masunatsu busy, or how many he's going to be able to keep on that side of the map, because that's largely, I think, where they're going to be able to find their advantage here, Mori-Chan.
The big problem is ElFishGuy, being scouted up that 1 line at the moment. Sort of indicates that there might be a little bit more pressure that GCAT weren't aware of, and we can see that now. Ponsky being spotted, Hector and ElFishGuy as well. So the game is sort of up now. We know that this is going to be a MMMC push towards that 1 flag, but given how long they took, GCAT have already rotated a lot of their resources that way.
Yeah, they certainly have, but so far so good. I mean, they've actually covered quite a decent amount of ground without even being spotted so far, so they are going to be able to get quite deep without sacrificing a huge amount of HP, and that's already sort of the first piece of the puzzle. Only now are they starting to get spotted. You can see the CS-63 of Cousin wrapping around the map as well, but look at how far these IS-7s have managed to get. The issue, though, is going to be when did they get to start doing damage, and so far unable to do anything. That CS-63, by the way, is still not even spotted, and Yuhei has already been picked off. So really this strategy from Mori-Chan hasn't really looked all too exciting. It was a big send, and they haven't really been able to convert much off of the back of it. There's the first kill going the way of Ally Tank, but generally speaking, this is just looking a bit too good for GCAT.
GCAT set the trap. They knew exactly what the game plan was going to be. I mean, obviously not seeing someone is just as important as seeing someone on a map like Proc with so many players on the board. Yep. And so as soon as they realized they weren't seeing people on that eastern side of the map, they knew, yeah, there's going to be a gamble coming up that 1-2 line. They set themselves up with 2 players deep in the corner, an IS-7, I believe it was, and a CS-63. And as soon as the 3 players cut deep, it was just all over.
Yeah, I mean, what do you really have to say about that one? Mori-Chan, they just ran straight into the crossfire and got farmed. There wasn't a huge amount of nuance to it. And as you said, their motto is winning while having fun. I'm sure that they're upholding one part of that, but I'm not so sure about the other. I'm not sure about the winning.
I don't know. Would they really have had that much fun in that round? I don't think so.
Holding the W key, I reckon it's fun.
I feel like maybe if they got a couple more shots off, maybe they've been a little bit more aggressive, but they're sitting around and then the play happens. I think, yeah, maybe a little bit more proactive play from MMC. Honestly, I think they should just commit to the APAC play style, go for a bit of a full send, see what they can make happen, because sitting around waiting isn't working for them.
I mean, if you're going to go for the full send, yeah, it's actually generally not a bad idea to do it straight away before your opponent is able to properly set themselves up. But in this case, Mori-Chan did take a little bit of a while to sort that one out, and you'll expect to hear a bit of a cheer as the Chinese squad does pick up the first round. So off we go into game number 2 between Mori-Chan and GCAT, and there's certainly a lot to be said for GCAT and not a lot in the other direction. But let's have a look at what they're rolling out with. Again, it's the WCI-63 from GCAT and a similar approach from both teams actually. Again, IS-7s being the go-to for the majority. A couple of E5s in there, a couple of Super Conks, and the CS63s
honestly,
as well.
Just give in to the voices, give in to the chaos. You're Mori-Chan, you're a Japanese team. The way you played it the last round didn't work. Try something new. Throw the strat book out the window, try something fresh, craft it up now, because no one's going to be expecting that.
Well, the benefit is at least they're on the defense, right? So they don't necessarily have to be the ones to make the decision as to where the fight is going to happen, whether that's a good thing or not. I'm not too sure, but you can see GCAT, well, they very much seem like they've got a bit of an idea as to where they want to be going in. They've already spotted out an IS-7 and a CS63, which have dumped over into the river. Are they just going to keep going?
Yeah, this is a full court press. GCAT have said, yeah, look, they just played it too slowly. Let's get up in the thick of it. Let's force them into a fight.
Well, what I'll say right now is that it really doesn't look like Mori-Chan had the tanks in the position to actually deal with this. Like, how are these guys driving around in the middle of the field and not even taking basically any damage? One more shot onto everybody. It's 2 shots connected onto GCAT, and they were literally
only got shots under 3 players, not everybody.
Well, they've been driving around in no man's land for like 2 minutes, and they barely took any damage. So that seems like a bit of a error from Mori-Chan, but I don't know, GCAT, they decide to turn around.
Oh, Ali Tank is dead. Ali, there is no way he walks away from this.
True, but they are doing a lot of damage here. Actually, Mori-Chan are trading more effectively than GCAT are at the moment.
No, GCAT have just changed target. All of a sudden, they just stopped shooting at Ali Tank. Yeah, look, they've got a reload, but they had prime opportunity to swarm him, get those shots in, finish them off, and move on to the next one.
It's
I think GCAT have fumbled a little bit here.
I think they've really fumbled the bag, quite frankly. But I mean, Yuhei's going to go down in just a second here. If Top Yao drops shortly after for Mori-Chan, then they're still kind of in this conversation. This is a very messy game from both teams, I will say it, but GCAT are looking a little bit better.
Would have been nice to get another shot out there from Ali, but unfortunately it's just not the way the game goes. But the fact that Masunatsu is not being contested here, he's got another CS63 in proximity, so Type or Cousin might be up on his Cousin. But Cousin's got full, just push and get him.
Well, the thing is, Cousin's got other tanks that he needs to be firing at as well, so they're both kind of like having this gentleman's agreement on the hill that the tanks down in the field are the ones that they want to be farming rather than one another.
Yeah, but Cousin's not farming, Masunatsu is.
Yeah, well, I mean, at this point, GCAT, 5-on-5, they have a slight health deficit. TYP, Tip in the CS63s, getting on the move a little bit. I think if they could ideally isolate Masunatsu out of this,
looks like, yeah, that's the attempt.
That is really where they're going to be able to find themselves a big old lead. Is there a ram in here from Cousin? I don't think a ram would be a bad choice, actually, at this point, just to try to get that CS63 out of the picture quicker, but either way, they'll get rid of him. And now we've got the numbers deficit for Mori-Chan. But still, Rico, Hui, and Tip quite low on the HP. So Mori-Chan could still actually turn this one around if they juggle the aggro nicely and if they're able to keep Matcha alive. That's going to be the big difference maker.
This is a big advantage, though. GCAT still have 2, 3, 4. Wow, okay. They just have everything going for them at the moment. 1,400 HP, 2 tanks and a dream. It was, again, a bit scrappy, a bit chaotic, but GCAT's the ones forcing the issue with Heck the last remaining. Yeah, he's going to farm up, he's going to get himself a kill, but it's just padded stats at the end of the day.
Indeed, indeed. Tell me, Cousin. I'm stuck. I'm stuck behind the house.
Yeah, look, he's stuck and cleared out, unfortunately. It's not looking good for the APAC representatives.
So here it is, do or die for Mori-Chan in this particular matchup, and we're moving on to Tundra. No medium tanks this time around. It's just going to be the full heavy lineup. Oh dearie me.
960 TPs again, so Tundra more like no Fundra. It's stale. MMMC need to do something a little bit different, something a little bit out of left field. Maybe this lineup is going to be what enables that, but just they're so slow in the way that they approach things. They stall out, they telegraph. I think GCAT should have this pretty handily.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you. Mori-Chan on the attack as well doesn't really fill me with a huge amount of confidence. We didn't get the stats, though, as to which way Tundra leans, but my general feeling is that in 7v7, defense is a little bit more favored. And the attack from Mori-Chan on Prokhorovka didn't really fill me with a huge amount of confidence either, so...
Showing signs of a little bit more urgency, I think, here on this attack from Mori. I say that, once again, MMMC has fallen out here a little bit. I think maybe a little, I'd say a little bit of urgency, but you look at the setup, I don't think it would change much.
No, I mean, I don't think that they're in that position really where they do want to go too fast just here. Ponsky, you might like to see sort of trying to probe a little bit closer towards A3, A4, but making that cross is always sort of fraught with danger as well, so you tend to see sort of 2-3 tanks actually end up doing that from the attacking side, and I think that's what they're going to be opting to go for, with Matcha starting to rotate in that direction. Everyone else's positions are more or less just standard hold positions. If anyone from the defense gets a little bit too greedy for a peek, yes, you can punish, but...
What's that position?
Well, Ponsky, interested to see where he's going to end up, but should just be happy to hold on to this road position, and as a result, you can see the battle lines are slowly starting to move their way forward, and so we get a bit of cap pressure out from GCAT. Response on the southern side of the map is going to be, a bit of cap pressure from Mori-Chan, of course, and the response from GCAT is going to be a little bit of movement down south. But there are a couple of tanks waiting for that from Mori-Chan.
Yeah, and so LA Tank is going to dissuade that push for the moment. GCAT realized that probably not the play. They could just end up taking a whole lot of unanswered damage. But with that cap being held at the moment, it is a long run that needs to be held here from Mori-Chan. I just don't see it happening. But GCAT aren't moving with real urgency at all.
Not at the moment. Buhui is. He's got the boosters on in the BZ75. Send it. I mean, there's no need to necessarily get too excited yet. Mori-Chan, still a minute left on that cap. It's not a huge amount of pressure for GCAT, and it's really about ensuring that they can get their forces in the right position. But yeah, I like this push. This is the easy overmatch to find, in theory. The IS
line, they were still able to pull back. They can now Mori-Chan need to make the decision. Do they full commit here, or do they go back to try and cap the point?
Well, 3.5 minutes to go. You've still got a couple of tanks down on the south side of the map. You are really in a bit of an awkward spot on the attack. You'll want to regather your forces and go in one direction, but I'm just not sure that's really possible. A lot of these tanks, of course, Mori-Chan, quite slow. So it's going to be a lot of isolated skirmishes, and those are the ones that I find are going to become a little bit more difficult to win. You need good comms, and you've also got people on opposite sides of the maps comming to one another. It's just getting a little bit messy in the team comms, and Masunatsu will be the first one to fall for Mori-Chan. It looked okay for a moment. It looked like they were in this fight, but slowly and surely they have really
stalled out once again.
And yeah, that war of attrition is going in the way of GCAT.
The collapse is starting to happen. GCAT are now looking for the fights, knowing full well that they've got the overmatch, they've got the HP to work with. They're just going to full commit into this fight. Yuhei in the thick of it, he's taking shots. Mancha just going to get that ammo rack cleared with the repair. Everybody taking shots to the back. They're going to try and team up and get this kill down. He's more than halfway gone on that E5, but everybody's still holding. You just see the health dwindling. 3k damage from Mori-Chan and the namesake, but they still haven't got a kill.
Yeah, I mean, Matcha here, what are you going to do, really? The 60 TP, you're not going to be able to blow up one of these two. Even if you do manage to pen. Handsome having a bit of a trouble against Ally Tank. I mean, sure, that's one winning fight for Mori-Chan, but you've also got to consider they're on the attack right now as well, and even though they've got so many low HP tanks, they're just not really gonna have enough time to break through GCAT here, I feel. mean,
Hector.
Hector's going to give it a crack. He's in that 277. He's pretty speedy. 11 HP for Bui. You really would have wanted to see a slightly higher roll to finish off that BZ75. It is going to come down to the wire. A minute and a half left here.
Hey, his prime opportunity. It was the easiest kill of his career, and he just whiffed it. Now he's going to come around and take it.
I'm starting to feel like maybe this is possible with a minute and a half. GCAT have lost a lot of tanks in a quick succession. All 4 of the remaining tanks are in the same position. It's not as if one of these GCAT guys can just run away and escape. I think Mori-Chan, they've got to be holding that W key. Ally tank in particular, in that 277, has a lot of HP to play with, needs to soak up some of the shots here, and is doing a reasonable job of just... Well, I thought he was sending it, but he's just stood still. He stopped moving.
Oh, no. That's not the role you're looking for. A bit of complacency there from GCAT. They thought they had it in the bag. All of a sudden, players get greedy, overextend, and now they find themselves under the pump.
What is Mori-Chan doing?
You
You've
need
got a
to
W
commit.
key. You've got to go. At this point, you've got to go. There's really not that much time left. Hector's got the memo. Ally tank's going to send it forward as well. Cousins down to a one-shot. I think it's doable. I think they've got enough time. 40 seconds left.
Oh, no, the rolls.
You've got to...
Well, that's round number 3 all done and dusted, lads. We finally, APAC is on the board for the points, at least for one, or rather for one round. For one round,
yep.
For one round. But look, I'm going to be honest, that was one of the scrappiest ones that I've seen for quite a long while, boys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to figure out how did Mori-Chan actually manage to pull that one back, because I'm taking a look at my replay machine right here on the desk, and what I can tell you is at one point Mori-Chan were down 2 tanks. HP was about even actually at that point as well. So GCAT, I'm not really sure what happened there. They seem to... In fact, actually, Mori-Chan were down about 1,500 and 2 tanks. So,
well, it was the split. So 4 members of GCAT said, cool, we've got this in the bag.
That's right,
And then the other members said, we're going to go hunt for some kills. And they all died.
I mean, that fight down in the southern side of the map did go quite decisively to Mori-Chan. I think that's what kind of saved them. Once that rotation came up from the tanks that were remaining there, that's where things sort of changed up a little bit. But yeah, just a lot of bleed from GCAT in the late stages of that fight. Gave it back into the hands of Mori-Chan. And so for GCAT, yeah, a little bit something to have a look back at, right? Because that's one where, sure, you might get away with it in this series against Mori-Chan, where you lose a round where, let's be real, you probably should have won it. But if you're up against a better team, if you're up against, again, like for example, a hit and run, they're not going to let you come back into that game. And certainly not into a series if you start giving up rounds like that.
Yeah, it definitely feels like the case where GCAT either maybe gotten a little bit too happy too early. It was one of the things that I highlighted. I think it was when I was actually casting with Keyhand as well early.
So here we go. Again, it is do or die for Mori-Chan. It's going to be the case for the entire series, and hopefully they're going to be able to make it go through to Cliff. We'll see whether or not that is the case as we jump into our second half of Tundra. 60 TP for Mori-Chan, rounded out by IS-7s and 277s. 60 TP is also the big pickup for GCAT. Again, very heavy lineup on their behalf, though they have brought themselves a super conk in the mix as well.
Yeah, we saw how impactful that was in that last round. Mori-Chan and their captain. I mean, he did, what, 30% of the team's damage in that super conk on the defense. So. Look, obviously, it is some sort of winning formula when it comes to that tank and long-range threat. Right now, very similar setups between both teams on the attack and defense. It's not overly aggressive, but it does allow for a bit of pivoting.
Yeah, a little bit more presence toward the southern side of the map from GCAT than what we saw from Mori-Chan. Might lead you to believe we're headed towards a 2-flag play rather than a 1-flag play. I'd be interested to see where those 2 tanks on the attacking side spawn end up heading toward. They're just sitting on the hill at the moment to see whether or not there's going to be an angle onto anybody. But you'd be a bit lucky, I think, to get that this early on in the piece. Mori-Chan not playing overly aggressive. Natsu, though, is going to cop a bit of damage on that cross.
Doesn't know that Handsome's there either, so this situation could...
I think it will get worse.
Absolutely no idea, and yes, it is about to get infinitely worse. Natsu is a known quantity. Handsome is there, just around the corner. That should be a freebie.
Yeah, I think at this point, though, you just want to be waiting if you're Handsome before pulling the trigger. See whether or not you're going to get any more information, or if you can, ideally, if you can bring another tank in there to help you out. That 60 TP is kind of on the move, which is giving Natsu a little bit of pause for thought. And he's in fact decided to back off into the river. Meanwhile, bit of a push on the top side of the map from Mori-Chan as well. It seems like they really want to be playing for map control, and they certainly have that on the northern side.
If they just come to the conclusion they're playing attack twice now, 'cause, I mean, there's no need to force the issue in this situation. You're facing down the barrel of a loss if you drop this round. Why take a gamble? Why risk when you don't need to?
Yep, pretty much. I think if I'm GCAT here, I'm more than happy to chill out too. Seems like Mori-Chan might be prompted into making an interesting push. So give them a couple of minutes to do that. If they don't get anything for free here, GCAT, then they can just send it onto that 2 flag and try to brawl it out. And again, generally speaking, they have been a little bit more successful than Mori-Chan in those straight-up brawls. Yuhei bleeding a fair chunk of HP now as well to match that initial shot that went into Masunatsu. So HP deficit is growing for Mori-Chan.
Well, again, yeah, it's cookie cutter for Mori-Chan. Slow. Look, at least it could have gone a lot worse if they'd just gone for the full commit. Handsome and Hector going toe-to-toe, neither able to find much. I mean, Handsome does take a shot, so there is damage now, 1 to GCAT, if nothing else. But I suppose small boon.
Patience a virtue for GCAT at this point in time, but doesn't take a genius to figure out where they want to end this round. And Rico, Mori-Chan, because that timer is going to be ticking away pretty quickly with 2 tanks on the cap, so inevitably they are going to have to go for a bit of a YOLO push here to find those resets. And we always know that when you're in that position on the defense, generally you're not going to be putting yourself in a good spot. So I'm a bit worried about this one for Mori-Chan. 277 and double 60 TP pushing their way forward. They're out in no man's land. This is where the shots should start to come through from GCAT, and the farm should arrive. It's actually focused in onto the IS-7. Mori-Chan and Ally Tank copying a little bit on the way through, and GCAT more than happy to give up that cap pressure now that they have forced the response from Mori-Chan. Hector's quite isolated here, going to be taking a 2-on-1, although Mori-Chan comes across to try to assist. Good damage coming down from him, but then again, the response is also quite nice from GCAT, and Cousin tucking into the pillbox to try to survive and just evade Mori-Chan as long as possible. Taking him on a wild goose chase, really, at this point. Oh,
wow, and it's going to allow him to get the shots off. Hector still surviving with 67 HP, so one more shot, he's going to be done. Can he get off his own? Or Handsome force off at the moment. Yeah. Maybe he can get something. Hector, he does get the shot out. At the very least, he will be finished off by Handsome. Cousin's still there. It's a standoff, and unfortunately, MMMC are going to fall by the wayside here. They backed off a key position on the south side of the map, and it's cost them dearly.
Yeah, I think this is over for Mori-Chan. Everybody's going to lead the charge in that 60 TP to back up Handsome and Cousin. First shot didn't quite connect, but it's all good. In the end, GCAT are getting it done. They've got 3 minutes to find all these remaining Mori-Chan members. And yes, there is one on the northern side of the map.
Where the heck is Yuhei? What's he doing up there?
He's taking that battle against the IS-7.
Mori-Chan, he gets himself the one before he's finally finished off. It's a 3-verse. Jordan, we have been here before.
No, it's not happening.
We've seen it before. Hubris.
Not this time. Not this time. But, mate, it is 3,000 HP against 11,000. You would have to do something incredibly stupid to throw this game away. And Bukui, in theory, should win the 1v1 against Yuhei as well.
Bullying. Bullying at its finest. Yeah, just, you know, there's not much more you can do. It's Yuhei versus the world, and unfortunately the world is a cold and unforgiving place, Jordan. He's just going to be pushed back to his own flag and finished off. Bukui seals the deal.